There were few things in this world that Sera Blackwood truly despised. Meddling neighbors? Absolutely. People asking for love potions? Without question. Waking up in the middle of the night to find a ghost sighing at the foot of her bed? That was new. For a long moment, Sera just stared. The tall, semi-transparent man didn't disappear. He did, however, smile. "At last," he breathed, gazing at her with stars in his annoyingly blue eyes. "I finally found you, my love." Sera's exhausted brain processed this in 2 sluggish stages. This was a ghost. This ghost was flirting with her. So naturally, she screamed. Not a high-pitched, damsel in distress kind of scream. No, hers was a sharp, instinctive shout of outrage, like someone had just insulted her potion-making skills in broad daylight. To be clear, Sera was not the screaming type. But in her defense, it was 3 in the morning. She lived alone, and there was an apparition standing beside her bed, looking at her like she'd personally walked out of his daydreams. Her pulse slammed hard against her ribs, the remnants of sleep still clinging to her brain as she instinctively reached for her wand on the nightstand, because of course, this would happen when she was most vulnerable. Her grip around it tightened, reassuring, steady, real, unlike the impossible figure before her. The ghost didn't even flinch. Instead, his expression softened as if she'd professed her undying love instead of reacted like any reasonable person would. "I always knew I'd find you again, my love." A strange, unexpected flicker stirred in her chest, something cold and unsettling, like a half-forgotten memory brushing too close. Sera threw her pillow at his stupidly handsome face. It passed right through him. The ghost, because yes, fine, this was happening, looked mildly disappointed. "Cranky, I see," he murmured. Sera's fingers dug into the smooth wood of her wand. Ghosts didn't linger in Moonbright, not unless they had unfinished business, or worse, dangerous intentions, which meant... With practiced precision, Sera aimed her wand straight at his semi-transparent chest. White blue light crackled at her fingertips as she unleashed a banishing spell, potent enough to send spirits howling back into the void. The air thrummed, and then fizzled out into absolutely nothing. The ghost beamed. "Oh, darling, if it were that easy to get rid of me, do you think I'd have spent centuries searching for you?" She froze. Centuries. An uneasy twist curled in her stomach. That was not a sentence she was emotionally or mentally equipped to deal with before sunrise. Still gripping her wand, Sera shoved herself out of bed, her bare feet hitting the cool wooden floor as she stomped toward the ghost with singular determination. "Okay," she said flatly, jabbing a finger toward his shimmering form. "I don't know who you are, or why you're in my house, but you need to—" "Elias Thorne," the ghost said smoothly, offering a bow so exaggerated it would have belonged in a royal court, if not for the fact that this was her barely lit bedroom. Up close, he was even more irritating, because of course he would be the one ghost who looked like a complete storybook tragic romance come to life. Messy dark hair with enough stray strands falling into his blue eyes to look effortlessly haunted. A slightly tattered waistcoat, the fabric worn but still hinting at a life of adventure. Sharp cheekbones and a mouth made to kiss poetry into people's skin. Nope. Absolutely not. Abort. Something about him itched at the edges of her mind, like she should know him. Like she did once, long ago, in another life she didn't remember and didn't want to, which meant she needed to get rid of him immediately. Elias lifted his chin, utterly oblivious to her murderous intent. Ghost, poet, and, he added grandly, the man who has spent lifetimes searching for you. A sharp, involuntary pang rocked through Sera's chest, like a puzzle piece snapping into place. One she hadn't realized was missing. She ignored it. Instead, without a word, she turned straight out of her own bedroom, into her kitchen, where she poured herself a very large cup of tea. Behind her, the air shifted as Elias drifted into the room, because apparently, ghosts didn't believe in personal space. "Do you need a moment?" he asked, his voice rich with amusement. Sera exhaled slowly. "I need you to not exist." Elias sighed dramatically. "Unfortunately, that is not an option." Her grip tightened around the handle of her mug. "Then let's focus on something easier," she muttered into her tea. "Like me kicking you out." Elias's expression softened. something unbearably fond settling in his gaze as he floated down until he was, eye level. "Oh, darling, you and we are bound by more than fate, a connection that—" Sera dumped the tea on him. The floors were now wet. Elias inspected his spectral arm, then glanced up with bemused admiration. "You are exactly as I remember," he murmured, almost to himself. Sera set down the teacup with a decisive thunk. "I'm going back to sleep." Elias's eyes widened. "Oh, are you tired?" Sera growled. "What I am is being haunted by a delusional apparition." Instead of taking the hint, his expression, infuriatingly, softened ever further. His voice dipped into something quieter, something dangerous. "Do you really not remember me?" A sharp pulse of something, not nostalgia, but something close, rippled through her chest. She didn't like it, didn't trust it, and certainly didn't want it. Sera folded her arms, locking her expression into cool indifference. "If we met in a past life, that sounds like a past me problem." His eyes darkened, filled with so much stupid longing tragedy that it physically hurt to look at. "Ah, your sarcasm. Even in death, I never forgot it." She considered throwing her entire tea mug at him. Instead, she pinched the bridge of her nose and exhaled sharply through it. "Okay, fine. Let's assume for a moment that you aren't a hallucination brought on by too many late nights at the apothecary. What do you actually want?" His gaze searched hers, his spectral fingers twitching as if he wanted to reach toward her. "I just want to be with you." Sera's entire body tensed. Then, with zero hesitation, she turned sharply on her heel, walked back into her bedroom, and slammed the door in his face, or rather through his face, because he was a ghost, moon-given hellfire. From the other side of the door, Elias sighed happily. "Good night, my love." Sera dropped her head into her hands. This was going to be a problem.